I'm Zan Bradford. You're watching My Community, and we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome. It is your weekly program that has always been concerned with the virtual gathering. That is, the gathering that occurs on air and online. I'm Sherwood McCaskey, as always. Thanks for your time. It is perhaps fortuitous or by chance that in our last program we look at the role St. James played in the transformation of this island from an agrarian society to tourism and services. And this week, as we begin our journey in the parish of Christchurch, we move directly into an area that thrives on tourism and services and is well known not only in Barbados but in many corners around the globe from where our tourists come.
This area has been transformed tremendously over the last couple of years.
This area has made a great transformation since I was a boy.
Oh yes, St. Lawrence Gap was dreary, dead, a lot of shadow houses. It was once a sleepy village. When you look at it now, it can be really regarded as the economic basket of the South Coast.
An interesting perspective. You would recall that Dr. Henderson Carter in June, while presenting St. George, referred to that parish as the breadbasket of Barbados. This is Dover, St. Lawrence Gap today. Now, this program, My Community, looks back at the same location but at a different time.
I remember going to Sunday school at St. Lawrence Church. And back then, we used to call, it wasn't St. Lawrence Gap to us, it was called the Sea Rocks. The Sea Rocks was, like a more like pedestrian. You're coming from the church, coming up the road, there used to be a St. Lawrence Hotel, or former Minister of Tourism, Peter Morgan. He used to own that hotel down there. And we also had a seal band called the St. Lawrence Fish and Chippers. They used to play right at that hotel.
And as you made your way in an easterly direction, what did you come upon?
There were the white edges. We were the black edges. There were the white edges coming up. And then there was a couple of small hotels in between. And then there was a small where South Finns restaurant is. That was the early South Finns. But on the other side, there's a gentleman who used to live there called Mr. Hines, and he had a whole property for himself, which DV South Finns owned himself. Down there we used to call it the cholera ground, because where the basketball court is, when we had the epidemic of cholera, that was a graveyard. That was a graveyard right there, where the basketball court is.
Down the bottom in the past, they had some flowers. We used to call it dappy flowers. And these flowers are pretty. So if I used to go and set fly stick to hold it with elves and things, But then they had a headstone down there outside of the place down there, you might see like a basalt light down there. But when they start to clean up all down there, they get rid of all that thing. Here I had one or two. And the fella used to say that the man in the house below took it up. And in that time, the dabby bitty bad, all you hearing, take my battery and put my fast in the morning, or you gotta go and put my headstone. So, the party one know about. Yeah, that was always nice, man.
And that will be the recurring theme and refrain here in this week's program. Dover was nice. Dover was nice. This area played a significant role in Barbados being a major telecommunication hub in the 20th century, connecting us with the world.
Just past the beach, where the Sapphire Beach is, that used to be
cable and wireless. Yeah, the cable boat used to come in. It's a big ship. And what pull up the cable about 300 or 400 yards out in the sea, repair the cable and then drop it in the water and go back out, right there.
And then after Kevin Wurst, it became the convention center. You know, so now it's Safari Beach condominiums.
A little further above, they had a restaurant there called the Multi Restaurant.
And as you made your way in an easterly direction, what did you come upon?
Just plain woods. Just woods. You know, because as you know, this land wasn't thought of being, it wasn't like quote a valuable land because it's not as arable as the land in the countryside. So that's why I guess people had the chance to come down here and live, you know, because it wasn't considered, you know, good land to live on.
No, so now yeah, had some big houses there, a big house by Child House, owned by some white people. Used to call the little boy the bigger brains because he had a big head. And all he's saying, bigger the head, the bigger the brain, you know. This place here was Bresmere. This over the other side now of this Bresmere, they had a place there called Glenroy. Glenroy. That was a private home.
And this is the exact location of the Glenroy, on which now stands the Infinity Hotel. Interestingly enough, on the compound of this hotel, you will find the Sifan's Bar and Restaurant, the very kind sponsor of this series, My Community Christchurch. Back in those days, there was a wide expanse of beach capable of hosting various sporting activities.
I can remember Australia and the Barbados one time when Neil Hawke and them I was playing cricket behind there by the beach. I was playing by the beach, a big beach. Yeah, but I mean the beach start above and go right down by Surfings and all. But sometimes when you go by the beach, you used to see like a whole wall drop down. That they put it and then put it, the wall drop down and you could walk up that wall. Below Glenroy, they had Caroline, and then a place belongs to a woman called Miss Cook. And below Miss Cook, I had two men. The name was the Baileys. One was a locksmith, but he had a lot of old cars there. And we used to go over by the beach side and pick grapes and things, and then go in the same bay.
You're watching My Community, and we'll be right back.
According to the National Regathering Calendar 2020, Christchurch was set to celebrate the sea during the month of October. You've just heard about childhood days of frolicking and enjoying the sea. But Dover played a more fundamental role as it related to the sea. Exactly what was that, Charles?
Is that this used to be a fishing village. It used to be called Bath Village. And the fishing village, we had quite a few fishermen who used to live in the area, the Adamses and the Byron Adams and all his family, and the Lashleys, you know. And a lot of people around here were related to each other, the Lashleys, quite a few of them. They had about at least 12 Lashleys. and Edgell, we had about 10 Edgells, and we all related. The Adams, about 10 again. So, you know, they were a big family. And they decided to move this part of the world because they were kind of entrepreneurs. And they came down here and made a living by going in the sea early in the morning and supplying the village with food too, you know, fish to eat.
We used to dive out there, part they had the reef. But now with all the grounds and things where they're really in the reef, because you could put a rock in the water. And when you put a brick in the water, the next morning you go and get a big sea cat. And then you just make your fire and put it on a roast. And sometimes the big man used to be so smart that the time in the sea cat and you don't know. And so a fella around past and take his sea cat, rip off and pack back the half and he got to see it. But Dover was nice, always nice.
I told you. Let us now celebrate the fisher folks of Dover, those men who risked their lives at sea and caught fish to service the demand back here on the land, and who did not disappoint the waiting fish sellers and individual members of the community who would from time to time position themselves here to purchase their catch.
There was Byron Adams, and the Adams family, Byron Adams, then there was Liv Adams, and then there's a guy who still is a fisherman, Edwin Adams. Then there was a guy we used to call Lash. So they had their own boats.
Now, this program is a celebration of the people who turn these spaces into communities where the spirit of giving, sharing and caring abounds, and where members feel that special sense of belonging. It requires people to do just that. Richard Williams takes us on a tour of his area, and in pointing out where his fellow residents lived, he honors them.
I lived in Paradise Village. They had about 3 or 4 different houses behind there. Belongs to Fleur Greenage, Boy Greenage, and their brothers. But there wasn't no road there. We had the standpipe was there, and the well behind was covered with concrete. So everybody would come to the standpipe. Little boys, they had no pavilion at all. Used to pitch marbles on the rocks. Then you might hear a fella shout, "Boat coming!" And we would run across, help pull in the boat, get the fish and roast, and eat the belly full, come back, play football or cricket, go home and get licks, because you're out the whole day.
So typical of the parents in those days, similar stories were shared in the foregoing parishes. Now, if you were to continue in this area, you would come upon...
You know where Bradley's Bar is right now? That used to be owned by a guy called Mr. Johnson. And it was very popular for dancing and jukebox music and things like that. You know, guys would go in there and B5, they like that number. That may be, Sam Cooke or whatever. B5 or C12, you know? So Johnson's shop was right there where Bradley's is right now. And let me see. Miss Clark's shop was just further down from Bradley's, another 100 yards from Bradley's. And then McConnell's shop was further over because there weren't many supermarkets around.
Hence, community members made very good use of the available village shops to purchase their groceries. Richard Williams continues the tour in this area.
Through Paradise Village now, we had Percy Williams on the right. Bobby Bradshaw, he didn't live in there yet. His wife lived there. So then you got Scotty, and then Scott, then man named Billy, a fisherman too, a big strong fisherman. Mentor, which would be Sylvester Gill, kind of a mother-in-law. Then you go down Sissy, then you had the barber man, Mr. Flats, and another Flats above him. And then you had Gurley, the girl Marcia that got killed on the Johnson place. Her mother and her uncle live in 2 different houses there. Then you're going across now, a woman from up Maxwell had 2 houses there. One I could remember the name was Mispa, next one was Ebenezer. Then Miss Chase. Miss Chase, after they living up there, she had 2 sons, for Chase and Vera Chase. So now you got Miss Chase's house, that's the right side. Opposite now we're coming down past Scott, he had Miss Pars, he has a lady called Stella. She had a son who used to work at UN. And then you go across now, you got further down, you got my aunt, Miss White, then Miss Gay, all of my aunts, my mother's house, and my uncle's house behind. My grandmother's house right in between. We had cows, horses, we used to raise turkeys and all sorts of things, you know. Duck, so a duck didn't new to me. Yeah. So then you go across, now you had Atwill. He left and went to England after. Then you go across, now you got another house belongs to the same as Price. And a woman, side of this house, you had a woman named Yui. She died a couple of years ago at about 101 years old. Then you go across, now you had a guy named Horace, he died last week. Past Horace, you had another house belongs to Atwill. And going across Strakers. past this man, they had a place there belongs to a guy who used to work at that called Spot. The prices, yeah, the prices. And then after the prices, they had a part of Chinese restaurant now. They had a big house there. The father used to call the saloon. And we used to play road tennis and things below.
Building construction has changed the physical landscape of this area. As it relates now to the eastern side of the playing field,
there was no houses here. We used to walk up through there and get guavas, coconuts, all sorts of things, you know. And especially here, after this hurricane and thing, they had a castor tree that fell a certain way, so they're halfway down. The fellas used to hold on it and pull it back, and it would send you across, and then get a certain part, it would jerk you went, and you can't come back to where it was. So one day this girl plans everything boys doing, she would do. So she hold on, remember, Yvonne? And we pull back, and she gone across, and she let go, and she flying like Superman. Fall on, break she hand.
Never was.
I don't forget, I think, but because the last thing, then one of the men that had the ram shot out there near Bertie, he had a donkey. You know what's a donkey, foot donkey, like? We used to ride this donkey. And over had me donkey got vexed and ran up through there, so. Next thing you know, fella, he going straight through the dunk tree and leave a fella hook up. It was fun at Dover, man, all the time, you know. Bare fun at Dover, man. Can't complain. We had enough fun, but now things change, but no, you know, things must change.
it is a major part of the community. In fact, if you were to enter Dover from the western side, you will come upon this wide open space and its accompanying pavilion that seemingly welcome you to the area and invite you to recreate yourself and engage in something recreational. It also stands as a reminder of the importance of engaging in community activities.
Dover Cricket Club was established in 1934, you know, and they used to play BCL cricket. So the youngsters used to come and sit on the wall over there by Beverly and watch the oldsters play. Yeah, Peter Lashley sometimes used to play because he used to work at the Cameron Royals. Peter Lashley and Hartley. Dover had a pretty good team and pretty good players over the years.
Maxwell used to share the pass with Dover. So when Maxwell playing out, they had these guys would come down, you know, showing off. And then this short drunk would come down styling, you know, he's styling. Next thing you know, oh boys, I'm here. The fellas near Elvis, they standing up. Man, people in the man foot. I tell you, man, I thought you were the telephone post. People come from all about, especially the beach. But a part I don't forget is a friend of mine, because was swimming from in the air. We go on for swim, we come back. Then the guy say he want his last bit. A father from St. George. He know he can't swim. And he gone across the transit. Next thing you know, he drowned. And all in years I could never forget him. Because used to make it alive, he's a good fella. Never forget him. They had a couple of marshall trees there. The big boats that the fellas used to fish with and like fly fishing used to be more out there, further out by this big side. But marshall boys see where the business is. Fella put one in his mouth. The father take it. So go and wash him out. And when you look up, fire keep on pedaling sea. Go and wash out your mouth. You know when trouble marshall boys sinks. But them marshall trees, a lot of them trees cut down and thing. But it's a play a war and thing like one boat here and we here and we paddle them marshall balls at one there. If you house it, like get hit in your eye, man, they worry about that. So great times in Dover, man. Never forget.
The joys of community life. Now back to the community's sporting facilities.
It is regarded as the #1 sporting area in the country. for teams to come here and do pre-season training, even midterm training. Many teams also come here to do just to get relaxed and enjoy themselves after a long season overseas or a long tournament. The accessibility to the airport, a lot of the facilities like the gymnasium, the aquatic center, Kensington Oval, transportation is very short. Transport, hotels are here, apartments, you can have all kind of different grades from, that will suit the pocket, from a poor team to a rich team. But in general, many of the residents who live in this area have transformed their houses into apartment buildings. They've added on an apartment or two with the influx of the tourists, which has caused the area to really be financially booming. There are so many apartments now and hotels in this area is unbelievable. The pressure is so great that we only have about 3 residents on the Chagall houses who live in actual St. Lawrence Gap. And they have been under pressure for many a year from the big businessman from overseas who've offered millions of dollars to buy them out. And they have refused to move. Only 3 are left. A lot of them succumbed because they got the better deal to move out. A lot of them succumbed because they got the better deal to move out. But there's still a few who are holding on. I don't know for how long. If you go down there, you see the church. The church have had so much offers to relocate, they have stuck it out. And they are the only church in the community. So this area has really transformed to the benefit not only of the local community, but for the entire nation on a whole. When you come here at night time, you may find fellas doing track and field. The next morning, it could be a netball team from England playing. You come out later on in the day, you will see a cricket team from Australia warming up. Then another night, now you may come and find baseball. It has become the sporting destination of many from around the world. It is really an established destination now to all to come to see. Whenever a visiting touring team came to Barbados, especially when England or Australia, New Zealand had to play the West Indies, whenever the players wanted some time off, relaxation, they would come to Dover. Because at night time, we had a very vibrant sports club. The fellas would cook fried fish, chicken, soup, on a Friday, dominoes. It was very vibrant at night. So anytime you pass there, during any night, you could guarantee a game of dominoes or something to eat. And you had fellas like Freddie Flintoff, Ian Botham, Philip De Freitas, Devon Malcolm. Whenever they came with their representative teams, they found Dover as their second home. And they really enjoyed it. They felt a part of the community. And we called each other by first name. Whenever they came back, they gave the guys some equipment, sporting gear. So that kind of relationship we've had over the years with visitors.
And the evidence of those visiting teams are seen in the many plaques that were presented by the visiting clubs, who made very good use of the facilities here and foster relations with Dover. They now adorn the walls of the club. Adrian Donovan is adamant that October 1983 was a major turning point for this community. The role Barbados played in being a base for the United States was written about and celebrated. But there is another role that is not celebrated.
October 1983, the Grenada invasion brings back a lot of memories, because this was where the Americans were based, in the heart of Dover, St. Lawrence Gap. When they came, the Gap was quiet. When they left, it was a hive of activity that was not in Dover at that time. The Americans introduced it at that time, because the people came from all over Barbados looking to get the US dollar. The American soldiers when they had time off here in Dover, had money to burn. And a lot of the people that came to the area benefited in one way or another.
27 years earlier, in 1956, not in Barbados but in Trinidad, the Mighty Sparrow wrote Jean and Dinah, where he chronicled a number of suspicious events that occurred because of the United States occupation of the base at Chaguaramas. If you are aware of those events which inspired the writing of that song, you would understand what Adrian Donovan is speaking about now.
So this area has a lot of history. There were occasions where you would see some tanks on the playing field. You would see training sessions going on, military exercises. So it would appear that the Americans were planning their strategy at night. And then early in the morning, before the sun could even break, they would head up to Grenada. Then come back in night time when it's dark, get the supper, more strategy. And it went on for a little while. So the Americans brought some good and some bad to the area.
You're watching My Community, and we'll be right back.
The folks here in Dover understand the importance of celebrating their ancestors. In fact, in a very special way, they have united their ancestors with nature and, in a sense, rooted live monuments in celebration not of any personal achievement, but how individuals work towards leaving this place better than how they found it.
We've had some outstanding people who did a lot for the community. And by showing a bit of appreciation, we decided to dedicate one of the long-standing trees that we have here planted on the playing field. There are 6 trees, each of them are over 100 years each. And 4 stalwarts have passed away over the years. And those 4 have been Kenneth Williams, who was known as the Gunner. He's the father of Richard Williams, who you had here early on in the program. Then we had Philip Trotman. He was a great supporter. He went everywhere. Any teams left Dover, he was following them. Then you had Gayboy, Luther Wiltshire. He was another big supporter of the neighborhood. He took a lot of poor children in his hands and supported them financially. And the last one we had was a very great man called Vincent Jamie Lashley, who was really the pioneer of this club. He was, I would say, one of the best graphic artists that you could ever find without any training. He was that natural, gifted. So we decided to put the names of those gentlemen, and we placed the names on the trees, which are erected here in the back of the, next to the silk screen, back of the playing field. I must tell you, there are 2 more trees left. I don't know who those 2 trees will be the name of, but there's only space for 6. So maybe in another millennium, those that come after us will put those 2 names in those of us who were gone or who contributed.
Celebrating our people and celebrating our community. Special thanks to Adrian Donovan, Charles Edgehill and Richard Williams. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. Until next week at the same time, it's goodbye for now.